What's up, everyone in YouTube world? I just want to thank you for joining us here on Teach Them Right. And I am going to start doing a video series on looking at people who are really starting at the very beginning in homeschooling. I know right now going on out in the world, this is really where everyone is at. They're trying to figure out, what should I do with the kids? Should I keep the kids at home? Should I go ahead and take the kids back to school when, after this whole pandemic, whatever we want to call it, is done with? What do I do? And in many cases, the kids are even asking to be at home because they may like it. Or the kids may be asking to go back to school, but you think the kids should be at home because, this, at least online learning, isn't as bad as you thought it was. Whatever your situation and whatever you have to deal with now, that's where we're going to start at, because I'm joined by my lovely cousin, LeAnne, and she is going to really share some of her experiences because she's starting right where you are at today. So before we begin, I'm going to do the usual, like all YouTubers do. Make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button. The algorithms like it, and I think the more stuff we can get out here on homeschooling, especially Black folks out here homeschooling, the better. So please hit like and subscribe. More videos are coming. I just finally got my computer fixed so I can get these things going again. And so I am happy to start with my cuz, because we've been having this conversation before about homeschooling. And I even looked at kind of her situation. It was probably a year or two ago. I wrote about it on my blog. So I'm happy today to have you. And, LeAnne, we already kind of talked before, probably about a month ago or so, where
Yes.
you shot over and said, hey, I am thinking about jumping into this homeschooling thing. So I'm going to let you take it from there. What brought you to this? Where'd you get the idea? Where are you at with everything now?
I will say the idea definitely came from my children, because they were tired of the work that they were not learning, the time pressure. They just felt like they were learning more from me than they were at school. So they would ask constantly about me keeping them home and teaching them myself. And I kept thinking about it, praying about it. And I was like, I don't know where to start. So I was like, let me reach out to Devin. I'm like, he did it successfully. So let me see where I even began. And it was overwhelming to hear the information and how much and so forth. But like you said, start with what I know. And so I started basically now with teaching them art, since it was an easier thing to do, as I have to teach for my internship. So it helped me to practice for my internship, and it helped me to teach them and start practicing what it's going to be like having them at home and teaching them and the time frame and where each child is at.
Now, actually, so yeah, let's give that background. How old are your kids and what grades are they in? How many do you have? Are you just teaching like one kid that, you can do whatever you want to do around the house and you just have one little one? Not saying that folks who just have one got it easy, but tell us your situation.
Oh man, single mom. So I have, my oldest one is a boy, 12 years old. And then I have a daughter that's actually has learning disabilities per the school. That's 11. And then my other son is 9 and he's in 4th grade. And my youngest is 4 and she'll be going to kindergarten pretty soon. And I'm sorry, the first two, 7th and 6th grade.
And I assume you are just a stay-at-home mom and you have no job or anything. So really you can just focus on school with them, right?
Yeah. I am a student too.
So you have your own work to do.
Definitely that. And I have massage on the side. So I do some massaging on the side, trying to balance it all.
So you have your stuff and their stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. It's some challenges there.
Oh yes, it's exhausting, and at least finding the energy and the time, and just kind of seeing where they're not so tired from being in front of the computer for so long, to try to find something creative for them to do and us all work together that's not boring, but will stimulate them as well.
So why not just leave them in school? Why would you even think, looking at all the things you're juggling and trying to work on, just surviving with the family, just
Right.
day to day? why in the world would you think about going down this homeschooling path? Because let's be honest, sending them to school is actually free daycare, if you will. So why would you even think about giving that up?
That's true. Honestly, as I started to look at their curriculum that they had to do, it was not their skill level. It was below their skill level, or it was not explained thoroughly. It was a mess, and they were just getting more confused having to be in front of the computer, and they just didn't like, as they put it, they felt like they were in prison when they went to school. They didn't like the subjects. They felt like they were just going from one thing to another. It didn't feel like they were kids. And so I've been praying, because they mentioned it quite a few times from, I want to say at least a couple of years ago. They would start asking, can you homeschool us? And I just wasn't ready. And then now that they're online, it just got more and more redundant of everyone. And I was really shocked that all of them just kept coming to me and saying, can you homeschool us? Because, I already.
Oh, looks like you muted yourself.
Then, so I was like, well, I guess I could do, remember some of your stories that you shared about how you raised and taught your kids at home. So I was like, I can, carve out the time and figure out how to make it work and help them to be their best, because I don't feel like the school is helping them be their best at all. Mm-hmm. And learning the truth, especially learning the truth. That's a huge one.
So like what kind of lies, or we'll just lies, deception, or we'll just say a different truth might they be learning in school?
So it's funny because recently they were talking about volcanoes and the earth being round, and having tectonic plates and all these different things going on. And my son was like, how do they know the world is round? How do they know what the core is like?
Over there.
So I was like, that's a good question. He's like, well, how could they don't get to prove it? They just say that this is what it is in science. And I was like, that's true. And he started to realize, like, if they tag on science at the end, then it must be true. So, he was looking at that. And another one of my children, they were discussing one of the presidents. I want to say it was like George Washington or Lincoln or something. Yeah, because they were talking about freeing the slaves. And so I had to go back and show them, this is the real history of Black people, because they just thought, like, Martin Luther King, that's all they learned about, was a great guy who did this. And, the slaves were set free at this period. And I had to take them back and tell them, oh no. And, let them see some videos and talk to them about my own parents, what they had to go through. And they were just in disbelief. And they're like, my son is in 7th grade. He had never heard of any of that. And he was just like, I never knew. And he's got, more interested in learning about Black history. And I was like, because, they are mixed. And so he's like, I never thought about Black history much because, they don't talk about it, but not even during, Black History Month. They just do the same 3 or 4 people. Then that's it. So it's like
Martin Luther King, and since we got a little bit of age on us, they've had Barack Obama.
That's right.
So now they've got it covered.
Man, and that's all they know. And I was like, no, we can't do that. And so just like the more I'm realizing about myself and seeing the lack of what we didn't learn in school and it's continuing, I was like, okay, I have to really teach them and learn myself more about, where we come from, who we are, about Black heritage, and let them understand.
Yes. I always say that I think with I guess we use the term everyone else uses, biracial kids or mixed kids or whatever.
Yes.
It is even more important, because I know with mine, I never wanted them to be the tragic mulatto. I never wanted them to grow up being that kid like, I think it was, I've heard stories, I won't say any celebrities, but I've heard numerous celebrities over the years say, I didn't realize that I thought I was white, or I thought I was Black. And it's like, especially again, we still come and remember the era of the 1 drop rule. You might not have necessarily had to have two black parents. You could have had or you could have had two white parents and still had a black relative 1 or 2 generations prior. And if you still, your nose and lips and your hair is a different texture, white folks were like, you black, and we with you. And so, I think a lot of times in our community, we still have the basic beliefs that if one parent is white and one parent is black, then you just tell that child that they're black. But it's certainly not that easy, because there's still another side that they're going to identify with. But unfortunately, I think school only teaches them to identify with that white side, and they totally end up negating the black side until they hit the real world. And so then now, I thought I was white. Yeah, you thought you was, until you went on and tried to either go over somebody's house and they were like, your mother and father are, that's who? And now,
yes,
it's the reality.
And it's true, even on their demographic, they have them as white. And I was like, no, so I was going to correct it. And I'm like, they're white and they're black. And then it's like, why are you just putting white? And they do get confused, and there's peers are surprised. You have a black mom, and, they would make fun. And I was like, you're half black. You're going to have to speak up. You can't just sit there and be quiet and think it's funny because you look a bit more white than other mixed kids. I was like, but our history is serious. It's not a game. It's not a joke just because they think it is.
Right. And I think that, and it's even more disheartening for us because we know, having 2 black parents, that you grow up in a black school district, black family, black people living all around you, and yet you're still only learning just about black history in February. And so the rest of the time, as you noted, it's George Washington, it's Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves because he was such a good guy. And, the South, they were just upset because they wanted states' rights, and the North wanted all the slaves to be free. And, we don't know where the Ku Klux Klan fits in there somewhere, but they were just some evil people. It's like all of this. Yes. It doesn't make sense. And we even learn it, which makes it even tough to teach it down to our kids unless we go get it.
That's true. That is true. And I did notice that my son's history book was also trying to change it to be where they say that we were working, like we were getting paid for the work, that we helped do it. And I was like, this is a lie. And I was like getting so upset. And that's what, again, just seeing the points and lessons that they're trying to teach them and saying this is what's important and valuable. And it was just in my conscience, in my heart, I was like, I just can't let it keep going. Like they say, break the generational, habits and curses. And I'm like, I have to stop. I have to, let them learn the reality, even if, I'm still learning certain areas myself. Just teach them while I'm learning.
Good. So, and I think that's a good way for us to now move to that next step. So.